Hello, welcome to another segment of the People Place podcast. I am Karen Kimsey Sword, and I love to share stories and like to share experiences from other people throughout the Chicagoland area. Today, joining me, I have Kim Kleeman. Kim is a seasoned, and I'll use seasoned entrepreneur, business owner, business coach. Kim, I'm so impressed with everything that you have going on. It almost makes me tired thinking about it. So welcome, and looking forward to hearing some wonderful insights from you. But first, share a little bit with the audience about your background.
Sure. Well, Karen, thanks so much for having me. Seasoned, now getting to this age, seasoned is probably the right term. Um, so I am born out of a family of entrepreneurs, and I start with that to make people understand that I've run maybe a little bit different career path than most. I've never really had a formal corporate job or anything like that. Um, I am a business coach with Accelerate Successfully, and that is born out of wanting to help business leaders level up their business using all kinds of tools and knowledge that I've gained over the years of being in family business and in business on myself. I created a network with my sister called the Inner Circle, which is where consultants, trusted advisors, and CEOs come to network and really get to know each other and build deeper relationships. And so those two things, my clients, when they sign on with me, they get a membership for a year. So it's a wonderful way for them to connect forward and be referred and find power partners and business opportunities without me really having to like go and help them figure out how to do that individually.
Absolutely, which is so key. And I've had the pleasure of meeting you almost a year ago, and was you were the brains behind this book called Lead from Within. And I was asked to be an author as part of this, and it's been a fun journey with you and getting to know you, and actually now being part of Inner Circle. So I want to start with, okay, because you know what, there's so many books out there, right? There's so many books. Why this book and your vision for this? Tell me a little bit about that and how that road got started.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Well, in the Inner Circle, our membership is really important to us. So at the end of every year when we're all doing our business planning and our goal setting, we also go on a little bit of a listening tour to our members, finding out what it is they want to achieve, where are their gaps, what do they need? And what we kept hearing was, how do I create another revenue stream? How do I get the word out about what I'm trying to share with others? How do I do more? And there's a couple of avenues there. You can start a podcast. Congratulations.
Yeah.
You can write a book and speak, and that can be a way that you get to know people. And it turns out that in speaking and in podcast guest spots, having a book just makes it a lot easier. And so I personally had tried to write a book multiple times, business books, and I just got stopped up on what was I going to actually talk about. And what I'm passionate about is helping other leaders reach their best potential. And so an anthology idea came about, and I really stuck onto that. We had found the right publisher, and we kind of put the word out to say, hey, we're looking for leaders who feel like they've mastered one of these success traits, which are traits that I teach in my business coaching. And that was the start of it. We had people step forward right away, and then we were really looking for specific types of leaders to fill into where we were. And so one of our members, Lynn Miller, thought of you and said, I think you need to meet Karen. And I was like, fantastic. And it's been such a fun journey. But as you know, it wasn't an easy journey, writing it and getting it done, but we
Right.
did do it.
Well, and I do love the different points of view. And one of the great things also I know for me, and I bet for you too, because we went through this process together, it really helps clarify with a certain topic, even if you know a certain topic and it's important to you, it helps kind of clarify more of Why is this important? And what are some key things you want to share to really provide value to other people?
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
always interesting to me because, first of all, when you write something down and you look at it, it's almost alien. Like you're like, did I really say that?
yeah,
That sounds
exactly.
good. You know, like,
Hey,
wow, pat myself on the back. And so we play a lot of mind tricks on ourselves and don't realize that the wisdom we have to share is worthy for somebody. So there are leaders out there looking for the positive success traits that will make a difference and actually impact their life positively. That's really what these are about. Is it's not just like you're financially savvy and so now you're a good business owner. Okay, it's we're mastering leadership skills that make others want to be better people around us too.
absolutely. And it's so many building blocks. Well, your chapter, I loved your chapter. It's near and dear to my heart. And it's about building a fierce network and, kind of success story there. And, I think so many of us know it's important. And there's some people I think that are easier. It just comes naturally to them than others. And as we all know, we need to do it and be very intentional. So share with us, like, your kind of your chapter and some of the key things and key, don't want to give it all away because we want people to read the book, but some key nuggets that you find are really important when business leaders are trying to build a successful network.
Sure. So, I mean, I think first you have to ask yourself, why do you want to build a network? And I learned as I got into the business world that there's lots of ways that networks, you can plug into networks, and each individual should have multiple networks that they're part of. They might be networks that you grew up in, schools, churches, synagogues, communities that your family belonged to. It might be the colleges you chose. We talk about the price of college today, but they're really brands and networks. And if you really think about how to leverage that for what you want, that's why grad schools are so important
Right.
for individuals. Um, I didn't have any of that. My parents didn't go to college. I went to college, but it was sort of a last minute thing. I was not a great student, so my parents just kind of were like, "You're going to work in the family business," and I was sort of like, "I think there's more for me out there." So I watched people around me build meaningful networks, layers and layers of it. And do you remember when the internet and social media first came out and they'd say like there was a book about 150 connections. And
Yes.
it was like, you can only have that many. And otherwise, and I was like 150. And I like one day wrote down like my childhood friends that I still stay in touch with before internet,
Mhm.
right? Just seeing them, all those things. I started to realize that I was creating these circles of people that I basically held onto at each level of my life. And I think many people do this, but you have to put in time and effort to that. You have to stay in touch with those people. You have to help them when they need help. You have to, send flowers, go to the wakes and funerals, go to the children's weddings. All of that is sort of the equity that you're putting into your network. And when it came to business, it was just no different. I have a very specific story that is poignant in my life, which is that when I was in fifth grade, my parents' bakery in the city of Chicago burned down overnight, and I watched it on the news.
Ah,
Um, it was very hard for our family, and the next day, what I witnessed over the next coming weeks and months was something life changing. First and foremost was just how my father's competitors, other bakeries in Chicago, gave my dad bakery space in order for them to continue to make their product and fulfill their orders. It wasn't like those competitors used that as an opportunity to go get those clients and feed off of that. And then also I watched our church community do a clothing drive and a paycheck drive to try and keep our employees clothed and safe and give them money
wow.
until the insurance company paid out. And so I just got to see community in action in business really, really early. I just believe in that from my core. And so building the inner circle with my sister Joy is kind of an outpouring of that. It's service minded. The goal is to actually do the real networking that you need to do. And it's efficient because we're moms and we're women and we're wives and we're business owners and we just don't have a lot of time to go downtown and meet for drinks anymore. And that's something we learned after we kind of came out of the pandemic, was what works best for modern day, leaders today.
Agree. What I loved about the book too, and it's a mindset I share, and then I'm going to share about it being in action with you, is it is abundance. You talked about it's networking with that mindset of abundance. I hate going to events where people just, they come up and they just want to go, let me tell you what I do. And they just start, they just start telling everything that they do. And it turns me off because I'm like, no, I want to get to know you as a person. I want to connect with you. You mentioned relationship, and it's the giving, it's the investing. And what I do like, about your mindset, and even you talk about in the book as far as the abundance, it's the giving. And it's not the giving to getting, it's really the giving, the relationship piece. It's that mindset that's so important. And that's when you start having, and I'm going to use the word authentic. It's authentic relationships. And the networking, it's not like, okay, I'm going to start a business, I'm going to just start now. It really is, and you mentioned it, it's in all areas, and really being very intentional on how you can strengthen those before you'd even think about asking for something, because it does come, but it's that intention and that mindset around it. And that's what I liked about some of the things that you mentioned in the book.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, first of all, growing up, a good little Catholic girl, service was a big part of our lives. So
Yeah.
I think that I have found my way, which is that I love building community and I love giving back. And I don't mean that by the $10 to a charity, or, buying a ticket to an event, although I love all of that. I mean, true impactful work that makes me find a way to spread love in the world and goodness
Right.
in the world. I really believe in leaving the place better than I found. And so every interaction, if I meet somebody and they're in that scarcity mindset and they're cynical to the world, I find that a challenge to just, say, hey, there's more to this if you can let go of that.
Right.
And so it is very authentic because I care about people and I care about their stories. And to your point, the business will come. I
Right.
just want to work with people I like first.
Yeah, isn't that the truth?
Yeah.
So for people, I mean, I always like to talk about advice. So
Mm,
if someone's listening to this, a leader's listening to this, and they're like, I struggle with this, or tell me more about how I can strengthen networking. Do you
mm,
have two or three ideas, or just a couple ideas where you're like, okay, make sure, and you talked about the why. So you already talked about kind of the why in your vision. So in
mhm.
addition to that, are there a couple of things you're like, here are some tips. Here are some tips on networking, things to keep in mind to be a strong networker.
Well, first of all, I think that finding your comfort zone in networking is really important. We do not all have to do it the same way. So if you like trivia and you want to go to trivia nights around the city and network that way, networking happens everywhere. I used to have this great salesperson, Stacy Jones. So if she ever listens, I hope she hears this, but she would go and stand in the women's bathroom line at any conference we were at, and she would network in the lines of the women's bathrooms because every executive needs to go to the bathroom. And the women's lines at those conferences are notoriously long. And it was brilliant because she'd come back and be like, oh, I heard about this after work event, or I got us invited to this thing. And it was like, what? And so first is find your comfort zone. If you're an introvert, you do not have to go out. You can do Zoom
Or talk to
networking.
people in the bathroom.
Yeah, or talk to people in the bathroom. That's
Yeah.
I agree. The second thing is know your goals in networking. And I mean that in the way that, yes, you want to get to know how people are and what you like. But if you never ask as well as give,
Mhm.
no one knows how to help you. And I hear from a lot of people like, well, the networking isn't working for me. And so I say to them, well, I talked to a few other people you networked with, and you never asked them anything. You never asked for the business. You never asked if you could sell to them, or you could never asked if you could be introduced forward. That is really, really important. And so you have to know what you want to ask for and find your voice in that. And it doesn't have to be quid pro quo immediately. It can be that you send them a great article or you introduce them to your uncle or whatever, and you go on, and 6 months later, there's another opportunity. But keeping them in mind is super important. I would say last is get out of your comfort zone. And it's all awkward. Going to the grocery store is awkward, right? We have a million awkward interactions at the grocery store. Networking can't be any worse than that, I feel. Um, I think that going with a friend, meaning somebody who also is doing business networking but doesn't do the same thing as you do, is really great because they can introduce you around and you
Yes.
can introduce them around, and it doesn't become so much about you. So I think those are really the big ones if somebody was looking to like more effectively network.
No, exactly. And and to add a couple of those, and we've two things. One is go with your friend, but don't stand there and just talk to your friend, right? Make
Yes.
sure, like, have goals. I
Yes.
would do that. I'm an extrovert and I find it hard to go sometimes and network and go up with people. So even
Yeah.
having like a few key word, questions you can ask somebody to get it started,
Yeah.
kind of thinking about it ahead of time and almost doing a prep for it, I think
Yeah.
helps too. I think coming out of COVID, a lot of us have really struggled with, some of the things that we used to do. And it's, you talk about your muscle, it's actually getting that going again because we kind of lost that. And now
Sure.
many of us are saying, okay, how do we get that back? How do we proactively go out there and start networking and building strong networks again?
Yeah. Well, just like anything else, you got to get out there,
Right.
whatever that means for you.
Key one.
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
You
Sounds
got to
good.
get out there. It doesn't come to you sitting at home. It just doesn't.
Sounds good.
Uh, and business is a fluid motion. So if you as a leader are like, I need to find another job, just searching on Indeed all day isn't going to be really the best way. It's you've got to get out there and let people know what you're looking for.
Agree. I think we've become so reliant on email
Yeah.
and not the person to person. So that's
Yeah.
why. So any other insights you'd like to share from, from your chapter in the book, things that you learned, kind of some last
Yeah.
minute ideas?
Just making a good list of people that you want to network with is, I think, always helpful. And if you aren't using LinkedIn, I just highly recommend getting your LinkedIn and, every day trying to get a few more connections or commenting on a leader's profile or something. It really does make a difference. I personally just got a huge contract from reaching out cold email on LinkedIn to a leader saying, hey, check me out. I think we should be working together. Got the meeting, got the contract. It is a business can be done through our technology channels as long as people feel that it's authentic and not just for the sale,
Absolutely.
right? But that you
Absolutely.
want to help them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
So that's my big insight.
I love it. Thank you. Thanks for all your nuggets of information. And again, want to encourage our listeners to pick up the book Lead from Within. I enjoyed all the stories. I love it because it's just a collection of different people and stories and what's important to them as leaders and success traits along the way.
And your chapter is amazing. I mean,
Thank
I know that you're interviewing me, but I've
you.
really been so excited to get to know you through this process. I admire you and your leadership skills. And these success traits that we talk about in the book are traits we live.
Yeah,
And that's what makes our roles as women leaders successful, is that we are actually being authentic to what we're talking about.
so true. So true.
So thank you for being an author.
And thank you. So thanks so much.
Wonderful.